Facebook, a group analyzed the grammar of the fans of different political candidates and determined whose fans had the worst grammar. And here to discuss this and other very important trending political topics is the editor-at-large for National Sentinel, Kira Davis. Kira, glad to see you.
Hi, Dr. Gina. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, Kira, let's get started. This new study of Facebook grammar says that Democrats have better grammar than Republicans. Now, hold on. Kira, they took Facebook posts in support of presidential candidates to analyze this, and I want to know what you think of their conclusion.
Well, the method of analyzing itself is suspect. First of all, I mean, this is not an official study. This was a study done by the grammar app, Grammarly. Now, you can imagine the type of people that use an app like Grammarly, first of all. But here's one of the interesting things, Dr. Gina, that I was reading about this study, that they found out that Democrats actually use larger words. They have a larger vocabulary. It says the Democrat supporters also show a larger vocabulary using an average of 300 unique words per 1,000 words,
right,
while Republicans only use 245. I don't find this to be so shocking because Democrats are always using bigger and more complicated language to express simple concepts in the hopes that the unwashed masses won't know what they're talking about and won't know their real intentions. This study doesn't really surprise me, but the sampling is skewed, so I don't think we can take it too seriously.
I have to tell you, Kara, that's pretty good, because I read this and I thought, I can't imagine what she's going to say about this, but I have to tell you, that's a pretty good point about how they do use the hyped up rhetoric and maybe even the bigger words, kind of hoping maybe that it'll go over the heads of the average American, where conservatives, we're pretty straightforward. We're not trying to really be fancy.
It's academic jargon.
Yeah.
It's academic jargon. And if you listen to any Democrat pundit on TV, I mean, yeah, they will explain a concept, a simple concept like work. Yeah. And turn that into, 4 sentences of language that
yeah, the whole old adage of overeducated idiot just comes to mind for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why. Do we still have Kira? Okay. Yeah. All right.
I don't think that I don't really think that we should take this too seriously, because at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is that we don't determine our candidates based on how big your vocabulary is. We determine our candidates based on how well they match up with our values.
Well, speaking of super smart candidates, we have a few of those on the GOP side, and one of them that I don't think anyone would doubt is, of course, neurosurgeon Dr. Ben Carson. He's still trending today after he said he would have taken action against the shooter in Oregon. Kira, do you think this is helping the soft-spoken Carson by showing he could take action in the face of a threat, or do you think it's something people say who weren't actually there looking down the barrel of that gun on that day?
I don't think that Dr. Carson is trying to prove anything. I mean, he just seems like a very nice, soft-spoken man, and he's got his opinions. He's going to tell you his opinion. I think he was just giving his opinion what he would do. But yes, I do believe that it's easy to say one thing, when you're not in the situation, but to have your life on the line, literally staring down the barrel of a gun, I would think that the situation's a lot different when you're in the situation. But, Gina, to be fair, Dr. Carson is the 9/11 generation, and for those of us who are old enough to remember 9/11 and to remember the fear and panic of that day, we do have that mindset that terrorists have to be stopped, that they're here to kill us. We're the generation of the shoe bomber, and we're the generation of Flight 193, where people took their own safety into their own hands, whereas before we used to wait for government to come. So in that respect, I think Carson's kind of speaking from that perspective. That,
another bit of fascinating insight from Miss Kira Davis, Mrs. rather. You didn't major in psych, did you, Kira?
I did not. I majored in theater, so kind of the same thing.
You took the words right out of my mouth. All right.
Exploration of crazy people.
Yeah, exactly. And how we both totally enjoy that makes you, puts us right in the same. But I think that's fascinating insight. I never really put that together, that the 9/11 generation would be more apt to even rehearse in their mind and visualize what they would do in the face of confrontation, because we all remember
Yes.
when that flight went down and that hero said, "Let's roll," and we all fantasize about being in that position and what we would do in that moment. So that's a great point I never thought of. All right, James Woods, his tweets have been trending for days. What he said about the left's reaction to the Umpqua Community College shooting really struck a chord with people on social media. Tell us about it.
Well, James Wood has been questioning whether or not Obama really is a Christian. He predicted correctly, as I think a lot of us did, that Obama wouldn't address the fact that this was a rampage that targeted Christians. And look, I don't know if President Obama is really a Christian. I know that you can't, statistically and traditionally speaking, you cannot be elected the President of the United States if you are not a Christian. That's just the way it is. We're still a majority Christian nation. There's something we trust about that declaration. So he had to say it, but that's his personal faith. I have no idea. This is what I know, Dr. Gina, is I'm Canadian by birth. If I heard word of a rampage where a man walked into a school, lined up all the Canadians that admitted that they were Canadians and shot them in the head because they were Canadians, I would be standing with my fellow Canadians. I would be, shouting to the rooftops about Canadian patriotism, and I would be calling for investigations and concern over the fact that Canadians are being targeted just by virtue of their birth and where they're born. I would be targeting the bigotry. We don't see any of that from Obama. In fact, the media is the one that is painting Christianity as some kind of a religion of white privilege. And the truth is that Christianity is the most diverse religion on the face of the planet. And people should be concerned that Christians are being hunted and stalked and murdered, and shame on our president for making no mention of that.
I'll tell you what, next time I decide I'm going to write my opinion piece on something psychological, I think I'm calling Kira Davis. Kira, thank you so much.
You can't afford me, Dr. Gina.
All right. That's probably true. Thanks for being with us, Kira. You can find her work at nationalsentinel.com.